You want me to start? Oh, hold on. There we are.
So then you can get it ready. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome, Team Pop Stars. So excited you're here on our Sunday night team call. Please let us know in the chat room. Open your chat room. If you are new to the team, to APL Go, please drop the word new. Share your name with us. We'll see your name, but let us know where you're coming from. And we are just so excited to welcome you to APL Go and your future and all sorts of exciting things with this company and with this team. So we think it's a really, really smart decision you made. And we all feel like, yay, it's Christmas whenever someone makes it to the team, because then we know that you found out about this incredible, incredible thing that not many people know about. We have a really special call tonight. We get to hear about our incredible drops from two incredibly smart, intelligent women in healthcare, Tina D'Angelo and Michelle Stoneley. So we're so excited about that. And before we do, we'll kind of go through our normal team call, our wins and brags. We'll go through the week in advance, the week behind us, the week in advance, and get to the drops. So my name's Dr. Erin, and this is Garth, and
Hi,
we
everyone.
are here in Reno, Nevada. We just celebrated 8 months with APL Go. We started September 1st. And it's just really changed our life. You know, we look back and who would have thought during the pandemic, during a global recession, that we would reach such financial freedom and have such a great time growing a business with so many beautiful people. So individually, we are one drop. Together, we are an ocean. A little bit about Garth. Garth and I have been in network marketing in the profession for about 10 years already. Garth is an award-winning civil engineer and an incredible father to our 3 children, Grace, who's 18, Emily's 15, and Zachary's 9. And you are a total fitness and health geek, and we love to learn about all those kind of things together too. And we were excited when we found this drop because you know, it's high-tech nutrition.
Fit right in with what we like to do and what we believe in. So
Yeah.
thanks, honey. This is my beautiful bride, Dr. Erin. She's got her doctorate of psychology, ran a private practice for a number of years, stumbled across her true passion and skills, which was business coaching, helping people take their businesses to the next level. So she's actually along that path. Actually, she became a professional speaker. She's done business training at Facebook and Microsoft. She's also done a number of regional realtor associations. She's been their keynote speaker. She's a 5-time best-selling author. And with all of that business acumen that she has developed and perfected over the years, she was actually voted the top saleswoman of the year for Nevada. So with that, she takes all of that information and pours it into our team. And we'll touch on that a little bit later when we go over the schedule. So again, thank you everyone for coming. One of the things we'd like to do is for those of you that are new, or did you already get that? You already did that, yeah. So
Welcome,
I see people dropping that in
Kareem.
there, yeah.
Welcome, Tracy. We're so glad you're here. Okay, you guys, you're gonna laugh at this next photo. I don't know why, but I found this on the internet. Okay, so in the last month, Team Pop Stars grew by 118 people. Our team is averaging 120 to 130 new people every month. That's about 4 people every day. And we know that we are shooting for 1,000 pop stars this month. We are at 853, I believe. And so we will absolutely hit it this month, and we can all celebrate that together. But that's hysterical. I don't know why they're in those shirts for 118.
That was a good find.
So funny. So every week we love to hear from you, your wins and your brags. Your wins can be something that you achieved in your business. Maybe you pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone. Maybe you heard more no's than you've ever heard before. And that is amazing because it means you're in activity. Brags, if you want to brag on someone on the team, maybe they helped you with something, or there's someone that you just know is just on fire in their business, or again, is just pushing through barriers and obstacles. We celebrate those here on Team Pop Stars. So if you would love to share, we can't wait to hear from you. Please unmute yourself. It's our favorite part of the call.
So who'd like to go first? Unmute yourself and share a win or a brag.
Hello, it's Anna. I would
Hi,
like
Anna.
to brag on 3 of my downline. 2 are direct and 1 is in my second line. They all qualified for the 2x2 promotion, which was not an easy thing to do. They sent out 50 samples and signed up 2 new associates and 2 prime customers, and now they are all 3 in the drawing for $1,000, the beauty line, and several other things. So I was really excited that they were able to make that happen. And I believe there were only 9 pop stars total. So I was very excited to have 3 of them be in my downline, and they are all working full-time jobs with lots of other things going on and children and just life like most of us here. And they were still able to make that happen and pushed through and got it. So congratulations to Bryn and Heather and Carrie.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Absolutely
Congratulations,
amazing.
guys. Thanks, Anna, for sharing. Who'd like to go next?
I'd like to celebrate a win that I also I completed that challenge, and I am in that draw as well.
That's great, Kevin.
Kevin, you're on fire.
Yep, you've been hitting the ground running. That's for sure. Are you into your second month now?
Just started my second month. Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you.
I know if Joby was here, she would have told
Yeah.
everyone about you. She's so happy for you. Congrats.
I want to share one.
Yes, Michelle.
So Martina had a really loud no this week. She had someone that seemed really interested, someone that she's good friends with, and we did a 3-way call. It seemed like it went really well. And then she just got hung up on this one aspect. She just couldn't get over FDA stuff, like started looking things up, sending them, blitzing Martina with all this information. And Martina just took it like a champ. She didn't take personal offense. She, kind of basically did what Dale Calvert told us, just gently let her go. Maybe down the road, she'll come back around to something. But I was just so proud of her that she didn't get bogged down in it. It didn't slow her down. She just was like, it's frustrating. She seemed really, really good. And then just got inundated with all of these negative messages, and she just let it go. So I was really proud of her.
That's awesome.
That's huge,
Yep.
Martina.
Good job, Martina. And thanks for sharing, Michelle.
I want to share, I had 2 no's last week when I asked people to join the 30-day Fit, Free, and Aligned. And one of those then called me back and said, well, wait, can I have some of your other drops? And I said, let me send you a sample. She goes, no, you talked them up so well. I just want to buy them from you because I really want to support you. And that warmed my heart so much to know that she was listening and watching. And then the second person who said no to me called me or texted me that same day and said, she actually had only bought the Norm for blood sugar. She goes, yeah, I changed my mind. Weight management is important. I want to do the whole program. Can you send me the 2 other boxes? So 2 no's both turned to yeses. And I think I'm getting the hang of just backing away, and then people are coming back to me. So I just wanted to say that.
You've been working on that, Kristen. That's so awesome.
And then if I could also just continue, I want to brag on Kristen with an E, who's on here. She just joined, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. And I think, Kristen, you'll have to jump on or put in the chat. I think you have 7 or 8 people now that signed up to do the challenge. I think she just signs up everyone she sees.
I know, Kristen.
No, we're on 9. I just had somebody contact me today, and she was like, sorry, I'm late to the party. And I was like, that's fine. I'll add you to the group. Start with the group. I'll get you drops and just start them when they get there. So
yes.
And I've been handing out samples like crazy. I don't know how many people I have in the funnel thing. I've been doing that and keeping a notebook. I'm a very notebook person.
Yeah.
So I've been doing both. But yeah, no, I'm excited.
It's been great to see you in there and all your people, and moving and a shaking. I'm a notebook girl too. Thanks for sharing. Congrats. Anyone else want to share?
I'd like to share on one of my team members, Rebecca Kai. She got to the 50 and she got the 2 and did not get the 3rd one, but she was like, that's okay. It's a contest and it will be okay. I know how it's going to affect my business. So even though she wasn't able to get that, I appreciated at the time that we shared that she was willing to go forward, and, it didn't disappoint her, so I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Yep. That's
Challenges
great.
are so great for that. You always
Yeah.
end up farther than you would have been anyways. And
Exactly.
so it's like, it's a win. It's always a win
Well, it's like
when
that,
you go for them.
that saying that we used to have in the girls' bathroom of shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
Oh,
it's exactly like that. I mean,
cute.
She went for it, didn't quite get it, but the business grew tremendously as a result of all the activity.
Right.
Love it. Thanks, Yvette. Anyone else have a last burning desire to share? Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Why don't you tell them about this, honey?
So this is our new Getting Started website. So it's called, you can see at the web down at the bottom of the screen there, popstarsgettingstarted.com. So this is where you're going to want to send all of your new people who have signed up to build the business with you. And this would also be a good thing for you to go and get familiar with as well. So you can experience what they're experiencing, which will make you a better leader, a better coach in guiding them through the process. And if they have questions, then you will have an idea of where their question's coming from. So,
oh, sorry.
well, as you're going to say,
Sorry.
so it's literally as simple as it says on here. Step 1, step 2, step 3. You click on step 1, it's the getting started video. At the bottom of that, it says one's complete. Now go to step 2, and it just walks you through. It's a very simple, very tried and true process to get people started in their first 30 days to get them a win, to get them some success, because statistics show that if you can help someone get some success in their business in the first 7 days or 7 to 14 days, they have a higher probability of continuing to build that business. So that is exactly what this website is for.
They say in network marketing, success looks like simplicity, and it looks a lot like duplication, right?
Mhm.
And so as a business woman, I love systems. And so this is our team system. Please keep it to the team for now.
Yeah.
We're just really, really proud of it. And again, success is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So thanks, honey, for sharing that.
Mhm.
So in the last week,
Oh yeah, so it actually a couple weeks ago now, I think we started. So Panama is open in Latin America as well as Costa Rica. Both of those locations are open. The websites are up and running. So if you know of anyone in Panama or Costa Rica, or you know someone who you think may know someone in Panama or Costa Rica, reach out to them. We've actually, in our Facebook Popstars group, which we'll touch on a little bit later, there is some language in there of how you could ask someone to say, you know what, I'm not asking for you to join the business, but I'm hoping that that you could help me tap into some people that you may know. And I don't have the exact script written down, but it's there to help you kind of go circumvent, if you will, the discussion of trying to get someone to sign up when you're really trying to get into the country. I know I'm not doing the great job of explaining how that goes, but
right.
There's script in there to help you get some interest into these countries that we're launching into.
So I want to share with you a story from Travis, and some of you heard this on his call last week, but he was signing up, 35, 40 diamonds at $3,000 level, right? And he's like,
In Costa Rica,
what
right?
is, how? And he asked one of the
Okay.
women, how did you do this? Like, how did you come up with $3,000? And she said, all the adults in our family pooled all of their money together because this is the thing that's going to create that freedom for our family. So can you imagine? And he told us that the average monthly income in Costa Rica is $500. That would be 6 months to go diamond. So people in Costa Rica are hungry for this. And it just hit me in the chest of like, what am I willing to do? Like, what am I willing to do? Go sell something at a garage sale. That's what I would be willing. We have so many resources here that we just sometimes don't realize. So absolutely, I think 35 to 40 diamonds. So this last week also, Sergey was doing a tour in Africa. It was standing room only. 300 people were lined up. We now heard at like 5 a.m. to see Sergey and to hear from him, and very, very excited as well. So exciting things happen. But
Yep.
This week is the week we launch Mexico
Yes,
on May
May
5th.
Yep.
So you'll see down here, the virtual event is happening at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Mhm.
So we can all hop on that. It'll be translated.
Yep.
And very, very exciting. So again, we need, I want you all to be thinking of who do you know that might know people in these countries?
Yep.
You know, that I'm on mission. I'm on mission to help people with a business opportunity, that for people that are looking for a business opportunity, I'm on mission to help them and to give them a solution. And I'm just wondering, do you know anyone that would love to test, that I could test these products on in Mexico, you know?
So Pamela, in the comments section or the chat room, hopefully all of you have the chat room open. You can see that Pamela put the website on there where you will be able to watch the live stream of the Mexico launch on May 5th. So the website is there. And then, yeah, Cindy, so he successfully made it to Mexico City and he has stayed there. I'm just kidding.
So our week in advance, this is our weekly team schedule. On Mondays, we have our Popportunity. This is where you invite prospects every Monday night, 5 o'clock Pacific. On Thursday, I do my Mind Your Own Business coaching call from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Pacific. We talk about leadership, sales, mindset, all those things between your ears, you know, personal development
And
that make or break your business.
And the question and answer session afterwards.
Yes.
Which is really helpful.
Love it. Thank you. And then our Sunday night team call. So that's what's happening. But I wanted just to share with you a win. I wanted you all to know what you did. You invited 168 people so far to our 30-day Fit, Free, and Aligned challenge.
That's awesome.
Absolutely incredible. So just honored. And I, you know, if people still want to join, they can. They just need to get on the 3 weight management drops, HPR, Norm, and Power. But just absolutely incredible. You can only imagine, right, what this is going to do for their lives, for your business, how many people will be joining. We're going to be sharing the drops with them during the 30 days. We're going to share all the things. Are we going to see Grace? You're so sweet. Oh my God. If we pay her enough. I mean, the girl does not, she just refuses to go on camera, but okay. So we'll try to get her on. That's so sweet. In 2 weeks, we have Tina Melsom doing a special presentation she did in Vegas that I just loved so much. I said, would you do this for our team? So she said, let's combine team calls. So 2 weeks from now on Sunday night at 5 o'clock, same time, we will go to Rockstar Zoom and hear from her. They have their team call the same time as us.
Yep.
So let's get to the good stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are going to get to hear, I'm pulling up my phone because I have some things I want to share with you about our 2 amazing pop stars and friends, Tina D'Angelo and Michelle Stoneley, who are going to be sharing with us tonight. And I want you to understand just the professionalism that comes with them, the knowledge base, just who these people are. Tina D'Angelo has been a healthcare professional for 21 years. She is a sonographer, a professional sonographer. She is married to Vince. They have 4 children. So she works full time. She builds APL Go. She has a huge, huge team. She's a corporate director. She's personally sponsored over 55 people, I think 60 now. I mean, she's just absolutely incredible. And the way she talks about these drops, you can just listen to it all day long and you're going to learn so much from her. So wanted you to know that about Tina. And then Michelle Stoneley, she was an award-winning landscaper in Utah, had her own company, closed it down to move to Baltimore so her husband could pursue his master's. She goes back to nursing school, gets her bachelor's of science in nursing, graduating magna cum laude, first in her class, full scholarship, cohort president. She's amazing. And she is a mom and a wife. She is currently a radiation oncology nurse at Johns Hopkins. You guys,
very cool.
This is who we get to learn from. So ladies, we're going to make you co-hosts.
Did you want to do the little pause for the separate recording?
Nope.
Okay.
Ladies will make you co-hosts.
Oh, yeah.
And please take it away. Thank you so much for sharing. I know we're all going to go back to this so many times. I'm so excited to learn from you.
All right. So, okay, Michelle, you are now a co-host, and then Tina, as soon as I find you. All right, there you go. You guys are both co-hosts now. So you guys can unmute yourself and take over.
All right. And I apologize, you might hear noise in the background. I gave Maggie an old container of peanut butter with just a little on the inside, and she destroys the thing, but it keeps her busy for hours. So if you hear that, that's what that is in the background. So.
Funny enough, that's what Erin does for me also.
Wow. Okay.
So do we have the slides, Dr. Erin, or was I supposed to? Oh,
Yeah,
there
the
we go.
slides are on. Oh,
Perfect.
here we go. Okay.
Okay, I was waiting for that.
Oh, the first one. Got it. Got it. There you go.
Great. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to get this started and we're going to go through this very quick. So I don't want to take up a lot of your guys' time. So with me, I'm all about anatomy and physiology. So I actually have 2 medical degrees. I actually look at people's organs for a living. So I have studied the human body extensively, and I also have a degree where I had to do training in all areas of radiology. So we're talking CT, MRI, nuclear medicine, angiography. I don't just do ultrasounds of babies. That's what people think. I actually do ultrasounds of everything in your body, including vascular. So I really geek out on body systems. I look at blood work. I unofficially diagnose. And when you can see it actually happening inside the body, it just clicks, right? Like if you're a visual learner, you really understand that. You can read something all day long, but then when you actually can see it, it makes a huge difference. So I can talk science all day because it gets me excited, because our drops, our plant DNA negative ion drops, they work amazing inside our body. So I'm going to try to not use too many technical terms. I'm just really going to go over this really, really easy. So let's talk about plant DNA. And how that works at a cellular level. So a lot of companies, you're going to hear people say, oh, well, my supplements work at a cellular level. Well, that's not necessarily true. Plant DNA, believe it or not, is almost a 100% match to our own DNA. Isn't that amazing? That plants were put here on the earth for a reason. It makes sense that plant DNA and our DNA would be a perfect match. Plants are also a perfect match to animals. So we are all connected. And plant DNA being a perfect match to our own cells, our own bodies, it makes it 100% absorbable, because the plant DNA is so microscopically small that when you suck on the drop, it's able to absorb into the mucous membranes. The plant DNA is not the fleshy part of the plant. It is actually holds all the goodness that a plant, fruit, root can give us, which includes all the micros, the macros, the phytonutrients, all the minerals and vitamins. So anything that that particular botanical can give us is in the plant DNA. And so there's not even a specific measurement for plant DNA. It's like, how do you measure it? You can't say we have so much milligrams of vitamin D, or we have this much potassium or magnesium. It's all encompassing into that DNA. So here's the really cool thing about plant DNA. Because it is a perfect match to our own genetic code, a lot of times people will go take these DNA tests because they want to go find out what mom and dad gave you, right? They're kind of variants in our DNA. Well, plant DNA, it actually will go inside your bloodstream directly to the cells, and it will find the deficiencies even in your own genetic code. So that's really exciting. And I'm going to kind of go off on here on another tangent, but there is a gene variant called MTHFR that makes more than half the population unable to methylize or absorb their minerals and vitamins. When you guys are swallowing those pills, swallowing those shakes and powders, half the population can't even absorb it, and it's going down the toilet. But with plant DNA, it bypasses the digestive system, so we don't even have to worry about that. And the people that are unable to methylize or absorb, these botanicals will go into the cells no matter what. So that's super exciting. So why is bypassing the digestive system so important? Again, because the digestive system is sluggish. You know, when you're swallowing large molecules like food and our plants, they have to be broken down by the stomach and the intestines. And sometimes it takes up to 24 to 36 hours to digest your food. Isn't that crazy? So are you going to get an immediate health benefit if your body has to take a day or two to digest? And going through the digestive system, it can take up to 3 months for cell turnover and change. 3 months before people actually feel a difference from the botanicals they're ingesting. With plant DNA, it's an immediate health benefit, whether they feel it or not. It's immediate. So I want to go over the benefits of negative ions and why this company with the Accumula SA has something so unique, something so special, something so unduplicatable, and it is really the negative ions that make this so special. So negative ions actually are in every single drop. And they are kind of the key to how that plant DNA can permeate the cells. So negative ions make it so there's no barriers in between the cells, especially cells that are deficient or changing. They put off a positive charge. So the negative ions are able to permeate that cell immediately. But there are a lot of health benefits to negative ions. And in order to know what a negative ion is, let's talk about what positive ions are. Positive ions are man-made. Cell phones, your laptops, your televisions, your air conditioners, the radio, the exhaust fumes, chemicals, electrical appliances, pesticides, dust, radiation, cigarette smoke. These are all things that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, and they are actually the cause of most free radical changes in our bodies and cells. So negative ions are natural. They're from nature, and they're really, really small. A negative ion is also called an anion, and we get most of our negative ions from waterfalls, being out in nature, the woods, the beach, lightning storms. They say that people that live near the beach live on average 10 years longer than the rest of the population. There's definitely something about being with close to negative ions. Sorry if it's loud. Vince won't stop. So I want to just go over real quickly all of the effects that negative ions have. So remember that all of our plant DNA is holding these negative ions. So our plant DNA is infused with a negative ion charge. So once you suck on the lozenge, not only is the plant DNA going into our cells and start to work immediately on the cells, but you also get all the benefits of negative ions to your cells. Negative ions are nature's biggest free radical defense. So anything with free radicals, diseases, cell changes, negative ions go directly to start combating that. So negative ions, blood purification and pH balancing. They enhance cell metabolism and their antioxidation. They strengthen the immune system. They speed up our recovery. It helps you overcome headaches, anxiety, depression. The prevention of atherosclerosis, that means cleaning your arteries and veins. It helps with normalizing blood pressure, helps with overcoming insomnia, sleep disorders. It balances the autonomic nervous system. It helps with strong bones, and it helps with smooth breathing. So that is really, really exciting because we get all those benefits just from every single drop that we take. So I wanted to do a little research because we talked about how there's no stimulants or allergens in plant DNA. And I'm going to be honest, there isn't a lot of studies on plant DNA because it's so new. But what I found from my research on allergens is it comes from the digestive system. So because you're ingesting the fleshy part of the plant, all the allergens are coming from the digestive process itself. So because we use plant DNA that's absorbed and not going through the digestive system, our body doesn't have the reaction to specific allergens or the effect of strong stimulants, because again, it's through the digestive tract. So I just wanted to clarify that real quick. And I think that's it. I think that's what I have on the science. So I let Michelle do the next one.
So I just wanted to talk about botanicals. Like Erin mentioned at the beginning, I was a landscaper for about a decade. And so I worked with plants. I was in the dirt all day long. And, I was thinking about this recently, that probably the happiest, most healthy, carefree time in my life was when I was a landscaper. I was outside 9 months of the year. A lot of my clients were pretty wealthy. They lived next to rivers. They had waterfalls in their yards. And I just was healthy, carefree. And it dawned on me, those were negative ions. I was just being bombarded with beautiful negative ions all day, every day. So I want to talk about why botanicals are so important. We talk about whole food nutrition with these drops, and I want you to understand what whole food nutrition means. So one of the terms you might hear us say is beyond organic. And what that means is there are certain regulations, certain standards that a company has to have to be certified organic. One of the biggest things is that they have to not apply pesticides or certain substances to their land for 3 years before harvest. That's just applying it. That's not what's in it. That's not what is. That is not what is in the air. That is not what is, in the seeds, things like that. So it's really important to understand that with APL Go, we actually achieve higher standards than organic. We achieve beyond organic, which means we far exceed all of the different things that are regulated. And I did some research into the company that we use. We get different suppliers or different raw materials from different suppliers, but our main supplier is Bara Herbs. They're an Israeli company. They're in northern Israel, and they've been an established company for decades. They have impeccable standards. I mean, the more research I did on them, I just thought they were so impressive as a company, and they really believe in the healing properties of botanicals and herbs. And I think that's one of the reasons our company was drawn to them, is they really have a holistic approach to how they're harvesting, how they're growing and collecting these plants. So one of the things that's important to understand with whole food nutrition, whole food means it's not man-made. There's no processing to it, right? When we talk about whole food, we think about carrots, we think about fruits and vegetables. We don't think about ice cream. We don't think about crackers that come from a box. Whole food nutrition is exactly what we're talking about with plant DNA. So plant DNA, the whole food nutrition we're getting is all of the phytonutrients, the macronutrients, the vitamins, minerals, without any of the allergens. We're getting whole food nutrition at its most pure form in these drops. Now, when we talk about halal and kosher certification, I want you to understand that that's a big deal. The halal and kosher certifications are not something that every supplement company has, because it takes really stringent manufacturing processes to be certified with these two distinctions. And, as I looked at it, this is for the traditional Jewish faith, and then anyone of Muslim faith, that they really look to these. And so anybody that we're approaching that is concerned about that, they should have a huge reassurance that this company exceeds, again, the standards that are required to get those certifications. Now, I want to spend the bulk of this portion of my time on FDA registration, because I know that there's some confusion there. When we talk about FDA registration, we're not talking about FDA approval. And that's important to know for a couple of reasons. The first is APL Go went through a lot of hoops to get FDA registration. Any supplement company in the US does not have to be FDA registered. companies that are bringing in products out of the US, for example, us bringing in these lozenges from Moldova, we are required to register. A lot of the companies that are coming from out of the country, they circumvent that by going through a third-party manufacturer. So they may have a really nice pure product in the country they come from, but they don't go through the process of getting the FDA registration. It's time consuming, it's expensive. They'll just get their product made at a lower quality with less regulations to avoid that registration and to avoid the cost and all of the standardization that comes through it. So I was so impressed that our company came and, a couple of years ago, you guys, this was something that took years to get. We would have launched earlier in the US, but it was very important to Sergey that we had this FDA registration. So I did so much research on this because one of the three-way calls we did this week, somebody was very hung up on this. And so I wanted to make sure that I was knowledgeable to share that with you guys. So when we're talking about registration versus approval, there's no such thing as approval for a supplement. Supplements are an unregulated industry. When we're talking about FDA approval, the FDA only regulates certain things. So be really aware of this, you guys. If somebody is asking you if we're FDA approved, no supplement on the planet is FDA approved. FDA registration means that we are allowing the FDA to come into our facilities at any time. They can inspect our manufacturing process. They can see that what we're claiming is what we're doing and that we have very, very high standards. And this is something that they can pull at any time. So if we dip below those standards and those regulations, our FDA registration can be pulled. So that speaks to the high level of standards and manufacturing that we hold with APL Go. So it's really important that when you're talking about FDA registration, they can FDA can approve things like medical devices like a pacemaker, they can approve drugs, but that takes rigorous clinical trials, things like that. And it basically proves that the benefit outweighs the risk. That's all FDA approval is. It's saying that the benefit of whatever the device or drug is outweighs the risk of taking it. So, we don't have any risks associated with taking these. So even if we had FDA approval, it would just confirm that. So I want that to be really something you're clear on. So when you're talking to people about it, that you understand how important our FDA registration is, but also that it isn't the same as being FDA approved. And then I wanted to move on to, we can't eat our way to healthy, that fourth bullet point. I was thinking about when I was a landscaper. I'm going to share a quick story. I had a client who asked me to design their yard, their flowers, all of their landscaping. And I did it. And I always offered my clients that I would install it or that they could install it. And this particular client they wanted to install it, me to install it, but they didn't want to pay for good soil. So they said, I will get the soil and you bring the plants and install the landscaping. So I did. When I got there, he had purchased the cheapest soil he could find. And I dare say you couldn't even call it soil, it was silt. It was just like dust and it wouldn't hold water. And I said to him, like, all of these plants are going to die. You're going to pay all of this money, because he couldn't see the importance of good soil. So I have two words for you when we're talking about eating our way to healthy. Soil depletion. Soil depletion is so real, and it's something that people don't understand. I have had some very healthy people that I have talked to about these drops, and they believe that there's no reason that we need supplements in our lives. They think if we eat healthy and we eat organic, that we are covered, and that is simply not true. When we're talking about soil depletion means that these fields that are being harvested over and over and over are not being enriched. It means that the farmers are not putting compost, they're not putting enrichments, they're not putting amendments like organisms, earthworms, they're not putting waste products. Any of you that compost, all of those broken down waste products put nutrients back in the soil. When we're talking about massive farming, that's not happening. So you can be eating organic, even food from a farmer's market, and you just cannot guarantee that the soil is giving the nutrients to the plant like it might have 50 or 100 years ago. So that's very important, that even people that are uber healthy, exercising, eating organic, everything it possibly could do, they will still benefit from these drops because there's no way to get complete nutrition out of the things that we buy at the grocery store anymore. It's just an unfortunate truth. So when we're talking about, again, beyond organic, that goes hand in hand with that soil depletion. Beyond organic means not only are we avoiding pesticides, but we're also making sure that those enrichments and amendments in the soil are there. And I think it's really important when you're talking to people who are going to try and shut you down, like, well, I eat organic and I take my vitamins and I do all these things. I don't need another supplement. Just let them know that soil depletion, even I'm an organic gardener. I grow a lot of my own food in the summer. I grow peppers and beans and tomatoes and all sorts of things. And I am very, very stringent about what I put into my soil. But I also know I can't control what's in the air. I can't control what my neighbor does. And so it's very important to just know that we are not getting complete nutrition like we did, like I said, 50, 100, or even, further back. And finally, I just want to talk about sugars. How many of you have people say, supplements can't have sugar in them? I can't take a supplement that has added sugar. Or they say, how come there are 5 calories in this? How come there is molasses and beet sugar? That's not healthy. So I want to talk about sugars, and I'm going to keep this really simple because the discussion on sugars could be a long one. But there are basically 4 simple sugars, and simple sugars are things that are made in nature. I'm just going to tell those to you. You don't have to write them down, but just so you understand them. I'm lactose intolerant, which means I can't digest the sugar that comes from dairy products. That's one of the healthy sugar, normal, simple sugars that we have is lactose. We have fructose. Fructose comes from fruit and honey. We have glucose, which is fruits and veggies, and also honey can be a glucose. And then we have sucrose, which is a plant source, but it's what you think of with your table sugar is sucrose. So that comes from like a cane sugar. It's a plant-based. Those 4 sugars, you can see plenty of other sugars, some things that hide like, high fructose corn syrup. Maltose is a barley-based sugar that you'll get. Galactose is dairy and glucose. There's lots of other sugars. But the point being that if you put a spoonful of sugar from the white sugar that you bake with in your mouth, the amount of sugar that's in that is different than if you ate an entire cantaloupe or 5 apples in one day. They may have the same amount of sugar, but the delivery is different because that sugar that you got from the jar with your coffee has no fibers. It has no delivery except it goes straight in. It is processed differently. It's metabolized differently. So the one thing that's really fantastic is the type of sugars we're using, the molasses and the beet sugar. Both of those actually have antioxidant properties and nutrients in them. And they also are metabolized differently. They're metabolized through the liver. And when you have fructose, which comes from fruit, it doesn't actually change your blood sugar or your insulin levels. Did you guys know that? That if you eat an apple and you have sugars that come from an apple, even things that have higher sugar content like watermelon and grape, they don't affect the blood sugars or the insulin levels like if you ate a brownie. They just don't because they're metabolized through the liver, and it's a different metabolism than when it goes straight to the pancreas and the bloodstream. So that's really important to note that when they designed these lozenges, they were very careful about the sweeteners that they chose. They chose molasses. And in the research I've been doing, my guess is that it's probably bootstrap molasses, which is a little bit more bitter and has higher antioxidants. I can't say that for sure, but as I did some research about the types that we use, that's what I came across. And then the beet sugar, we're talking 1 gram of sugar, you guys. 1 gram of sugar per drop, 5 to 6 calories per drop. To get what would be in like a bowl of ice cream, you would have to like take 40 drops in a day. So when people are saying they're worried about the sugar content of these drops, you need to reframe that for them and help remind them that this is not a simple sugar that's coming in a processed form. It's a glucose or a fructose, which is a natural, simple sugar, and your body is going to metabolize that differently. So I hope that's helpful. The thing to remember about these natural sugars versus added sugars is, like I said, they have vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, you get fiber. It's the full nutrient package when we're talking about simple sugars or natural sugars versus added sugars. So don't let people deter you by telling you that supplements can't have sugar. I guarantee if you go look at your protein shakes or your protein bars, they're going to have added sugars, and they have to label it on their label as an added sugar because it is not something natural. It is not something that occurs in the food naturally. So I hope that helps to clarify some of that.
Sorry, had to unmute myself. Okay, so I'm going to talk really quickly about how to make recommendations, and I'm going to make you guys all look like experts. You're going to be pros, and you're not going to have any background whatsoever, no experience necessary. This is going to be so easy. Okay, when you're talking to somebody about the drops, and now they're like interested, and they're like, well, what do you recommend? And then you freeze up. You're like, I don't know. Well, you're just going to ask them simply, what are 2 to 3 symptoms you'd like to improve on in your health? Or maybe some goals that you would like to work on in your own health. Well, everybody can tell you 2 to 3 things that they would like to help as far as symptoms or alleviation or better sleep, better anxiety, less anxiety. If they don't know, send them a list, right? We have something that covers all of that. So here's the key with our drops. So we are not going to make recommendations based on diseases or health conditions. That's a no-no, and you're going to be spinning your wheels, because do you guys know everything there is to know about diseases and health conditions? You're not medically trained, you're not a doctor, and we don't expect anyone to be, because then again, we get into that area of diagnosing and saying that we're curing things, which we're not supposed to do. So let's say somebody tells you they have Hashimoto's, right? You're going to ask them, well, a lot of people's bodies are different. So you're going to ask them, what kind of symptoms is the Hashimoto's causing? Almost everybody that has Hashimoto's is going to tell you. And even if they don't, if they're super vague, go Google Hashimoto's. Go Google the symptoms of Hashimoto's. Do you know that's how I come up with these answers so quick? Google is your best friend. I can go Google Hashimoto's. I can read in 2 seconds that it's an autoimmune disorder, that it causes, tiredness. There's a list of symptoms, and then it's a thyroid. It comes from the thyroid. Well, thyroid is part of our endocrine system, and we have a drop that helps with that thyroid. So you're going to always base your recommendations on symptoms. Don't go to the diseases. Don't go to the medical conditions. Ask them what symptoms they have. I have people that say I have Crohn's and I have this. They can list off all their health conditions and diseases. But if someone has Crohn's, it doesn't mean that that person's body with Crohn's is having the same symptoms that someone else is. Someone could be in remission. Someone's health state could be different. So don't go there. Honestly, you're going to avoid so much brain power. You're going to avoid compliance issues. Just always go off symptoms. Google it, and you're going to look like an expert, and you're going to come back, and you're going to learn which drops target certain symptoms. That's our job, is to learn which drops we have for certain symptoms, and even which body systems we're going to be targeting. So we are going to go talk about that. One thing that I did want to say real quick is there are factors that play a role in our body as how well these drops work, right? We always hear someone that says, oh, I didn't feel anything, right? And then you have someone that says, oh my goodness, this is the most amazing thing ever. I totally felt it. It's the same drop, but 2 different people. Are all of our bodies the same? Are all our cells the same? Is even our own genetic makeup the same? No, we're all unique. So everybody's health condition is different. If people come in with 0 expectations, but understand that the health benefits from plant DNA are immediate, that they're there, whether they feel them or not, we are not selling a miracle pill. our drops don't change personalities. Do you know that I literally had people say, well, my kid still acts the same way? Well, you can't change your kid's personality with a plant DNA lozenge. Sorry, you're going to have to deal with some of that. You need to listen to your body. I tell people you need to stay hydrated. The hydration is key to getting these plant DNA into the cells. Your body has to stay hydrated so that the blood can circulate around. And there's also going to be a little bit of detox. People don't understand that when your body starts to get nutrition that it needs, it starts releasing the toxins. It starts doing what's called a candida die-off, and that all goes into the lymph system, which goes into the blood system, and people feel that. And that's actually a good thing, even though some people don't realize it. Sometimes you have a headache. The good thing with our drops is that detox is usually really less and goes away very quickly because, again, we're going directly to the cells. And I just wanted to talk about drugs for a minute, chemicals. Okay, medications are not nutrition. They play a different role in our body. When you take an ibuprofen, it turns off symptoms by blocking the cells that cause the reaction. When you block off a cell, your body, the cells around it freak out and cause side effects. That's what the chemicals do. It's not necessarily what the chemical's doing to the cell it's targeting, it's what the cells around it are doing, and your body can't figure that out. It freaks out. The side effects of chemicals are what usually cause the long-term damage to organs because of the way the cells are reacting. There are no side effects with nutrition. There's no side effects with plant DNA. Plant DNA can do the same thing to the cells, but instead of blocking the cell receptors, it actually goes in and starts to repair and fill into deficiencies so that the symptom the cell is causing turns off naturally. So that is a huge difference between a chemical like an ibuprofen versus a slide, which has the botanicals to do the same thing in the body. So I think that's it on how to make a recommendation, and we'll let Michelle talk about compliance.
So compliance is kind of a dirty word for a lot of people. They feel like, you know, that's as bad as some big ones out there. But compliance is really important. Right now, we are in the Whisper campaign. We're headed toward pre-launch and then launch, which means right now we're flying under the radar a little bit. So it's a perfect time for you to get used to using certain kind of language and verbiage when you're talking about these. So for example, like Tina discussed, we're not going to talk about curing. We're not going to talk about diseases. As a nurse every day, that's all I do. I talk about different types of cancer. I talk about different things that we use to cure and heal the body. But all of the things that I'm doing are very different than what we're talking about. What we're talking about actually could cure and heal things, but we can't make those claims because we are not FDA approved. We are not medicine. I think we're better than medicine in a lot of ways, but you didn't hear that from me. So when we're talking about, especially when you're putting things on social media, please do not use words like heal or cure. Instead, change that verbiage to say this can help with, not help with cancer. We wouldn't say, you know, this is going to heal cancer, but you could say this can help with nausea. This can help with fatigue. This can help with, or this will help to balance the hormone system. You know, we wouldn't say this is going to cure infertility, but we could say this will balance the hormone system and this can support adrenal fatigue. Those are the kinds of words and verbiage that we want you using. So avoiding things where you're claiming of curing chronic disease. You know, I talk about how my mom has rheumatoid arthritis. And when I talk to people, I can talk about how it is helping her with pain and inflammation. It's helping her with joint mobility, things of that nature. But I can't say it's curing her rheumatoid arthritis or putting her into remission. it might be doing those things, but I can't make those claims. And it's especially important when you're putting this on social media, because that means it is fair game for the FTC. They can come along, look at that, and shut us down if they see we're making medical claims that cannot be substantiated. So when you're on Go Life, for example, if you're sharing something that you have had an experience with, my husband a few weeks back had kidney stones. He knew he was passing a kidney stone. It's a terribly miserable experience he's had in the past. And we loaded the man up with Alt for days, because I know the mangosteen in Alt can actually break up a kidney stone. But I can't claim that Alt broke up his kidney stone. I can say that it helped him to pass a stone, or it helped him with the symptoms of a kidney stone. Do you see the difference? I cannot claim that it cured him or broke up a kidney stone. If I'm talking to a friend in a conversation, say it however you want. That's a conversation, that's personal, that's not something that is printed, that is regulatable. So just recognize the difference. If we're talking about something you're having in a conversation, that's different than if you're putting it on social media or in Go Life, okay? Be really, really careful with that. If you are sharing personal testimonials, always say something like, this is my own personal experience. This is not, I'm not claiming to treat or cure a disease. Please consult with your medical physician or professional if you have questions. And that's more for compliance. It's not because we don't believe that our drops have the capability to do some of these things, but it's just something that we, as we get further and further into pre-launch and launch, that is something that we will really have crack down on us from the FTC. So we have to make sure we're in compliance and that we're not making claims, whether they be true or false. We still can't make those claims, okay? And there are things, that's why Tina talked about symptoms. I wish every day of my life when I'm talking to my cancer patients and they're telling me things, I wish I could say to them, I have 10 drops that are going to help you. It won't necessarily help their cancer. It could, but what I'm telling you is it could help their symptoms. If they're having symptoms, we can claim that these can help, these can support, balance, lessen, alleviate. We just don't say cure, things of that nature, okay? I hope that's clear. Compliance is going to be something you hear more and more about as we get closer to launch. It's going to be something that is part of our conversation, and there may be things on Go Life that get pulled. If you put something on that is not compliant, there is a possibility it will get removed. So just be careful of that, especially when you are creating graphics for social media for people to share. Make sure that your verbiage is correct so that we don't have a whole bunch of people copying and pasting non-compliant graphics. All right. And that is all I have. Compliance is not a dirty word. It's going to keep us from getting in trouble. So,
Yeah.
We'll run through the drops real quick, like 1 minute on each.
You want to do that?
One thought I had, Tina, was we could do that next week
What do you guys think?
and open it up for questions.
we could do that and just do a little more in depth, like a mini Mary Esther Gilbert did.
Yeah, let's do that, just because we like to, keep people to an hour. And then next week is Mother's Day. So if you guys don't want to do that, we can talk offline about what we could do as an option for that. But 3 things that you guys hit on, that was absolutely incredible. I mean, you guys nailed so many key aspects of what these drops do for people, what these drops are, why it requires a different train of thought when you're talking with people who come from a space of supplements or personal trainers or healthcare people. You've got to shift their mindset because of what these drops do. And you guys nailed it. So thank you. That was great. There were 3 things that you guys brought up that I just wanted to kind of highlight really quick. One of them was soil depletion. When the first time I heard that, I thought it was one of those like conspiracy theory hoax things. But for those of you on the call or watching this on a replay, actually Google that. I came across a study where they had actually shown that you have to eat 6 oranges today. There's a bird outside. To equal the amount of vitamin K in an orange our grandparents would have eaten. So that is soil depletion. There's literally research showing the degradation of our vitamins and minerals in our food supply. Was one. Two, when it comes to organics, I did some research on this one. The USDA does have an organic certification process. However, one thing that is interesting with that is they still do allow pesticides. It's just got to be a lesser level. So our kosher, our halal, our ISO certifications help get that even higher than what a USDA certification does is one. Two, the USDA does not certify organic foreign countries or products from foreign countries. That's where our products are made. So you may ask yourself, how is my banana organic? Well, what the US FDA does is they look at other countries that may have an organic certification process, and they look at it and says, you know what, that's close enough to what we do. We will honor your organic process. Now, Moldova doesn't have that. Moldova is an extremely small country by themselves. They're not part of the European Union. They're a European neighbor that is getting into the European Union. So in the future, we will be able to have an organic stamp on that because we will be part of the EU, which has that partnership agreement with the FDA. It's a lot of information I just threw at you, but just real quick, it basically comes down to that we're an extremely small country where our products are made, but kosher, halal, ISO 9001 and ISO 22000, critical. Last one, when it comes to claims of health, you may see people out there on social media that are making claims of health that seem outrageous and outlandish. There are two things to keep in mind when you see that. One, they can be reported, and get with your upline, and actually in our Facebook Pop Stars group, we will put the compliance email address where you can send that in to people is one issue. The second issue is they may actually be from Russia or a Russian speaking country posting an English post. And here's the thing, when you are in a country that is not as regulated as we are here in the United States, I am not making this up. They can literally say, on Friday, I cut my arm off. I took these drops over the weekend and look, my arm has grown back. I am not kidding. They can say that. So if they're a Russian citizen making a social media post in English, there's nothing we can do about that.
We could move. We could move.
We could move. I get, yeah, there's always an option. There's always an option.
Workaround.
So just be aware of that is something that we are going to just have to battle because of where we reside. So anyways, amazing presentation, Michelle, Tina, thank you very much. That was awesome. And now if anyone has any Q&A, let's open up for that. Everyone's muted. So if you have questions, please unmute yourself.
This is Maxanne. I had a question on the no side effects of nutrition or on the plant DNA, because I've had a couple people say that they've had some side effects as far as a lot of caffeine or like they felt like they had a caffeine high. What's a good way to respond to when somebody thinks they're having some sort of side reaction?
So negative ions could be giving them natural energy. There's a lot of natural energy that comes from botanicals and the negative ions. So you have to remember, it's almost like getting a double dose because people don't realize that negative ions are so calming energy to our body. Think about after a lightning storm, when you take a breath in and you feel that rejuvenation, they are getting that with every single drop, plus specifically the ones that use the botanicals that give natural energy, like the brain, right? The green coffee beans, there's botanicals in GTS. So it's not the same as digesting the fleshy part. So all the stimulants and allergens have to come from a digestive process because it's the protein in the plant that causes the stimulants and the allergens. There's no proteins in plant DNA. So no, we can't say that we prove there's no allergens, but there are no proteins and we're not going through the digestive system. Therefore, the likelihood is almost nil that they're having some sort of reaction. Does that make sense? But they could get detox symptoms, which are just natural process of the body breaking down the cells and the toxins that are being released.
Thank you.
Garth, I had a question for you. I think I asked you last week or the week before about NSF certification. I've had another person ask me about that.
Yep.
And is that something we're pursuing, or is it not necessary?
Well, a couple things with that, Patty. So real quick, for those of you on the call, NSF stands for National Science Foundation. And that is something that a lot of collegiate athletes, professional athletes, amateur athletes look for, because if they are subject to a drug testing program, even employees of certain companies, if they're subject to a drug testing program, they need to be aware of what they're putting in their body, so it doesn't show up as a false positive if they're doing a drug test. So there's a couple of things with that. One is we do not have NSF certification. Will we in the future? Patty, I don't know. That's another significant investment, and that will be something that we will mention to Sergey in the future. But with the certifications we have now and what the product is right now, it isn't really required. And the reason why I say that is because I grabbed GTS, because that's one that probably a lot of athletes are going to be looking at, is it lists the ingredients right on there. It tells you that it has green tea, Siberian ginseng, magnolia vine, water hyssop. So the athlete in question or the employee in question can look at that and compare it to the list of banned substances and see if it could be a potential issue, is one. Two, they could bring this to their sports team's physician and say, can I take this? Now, ultimately, we had this conversation before. I want everyone on the call to be aware of this, and also people watching on recording. Ultimately, the athlete or the employee in question, it is their responsibility to be knowledgeable of what they're putting in their body. So with that said, it's plants, it's fruit, it's, a botanical. A banana doesn't have an NSF certified stamp on it in the produce section, and I say that a little tongue in cheek, but as I sit here today, these should not be an issue for pulling up false positives on a drug test. Could it? Maybe, but again, they should bring it to their physician, they should bring it to their employer and let them know of what they're taking. Michelle, Tina, I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there would be anything, after the NSF conversation came up last week, I kind of looked into it as well. And, you can go drink green tea and it's not going to do anything to a drug test. You can have a cup of coffee. It's not going to do anything to a drug test. And I can't see that any of our botanicals have anything that would register on like a urine test or a blood test for banned substances. If we were to come out with other types of drops that had, different substances in them, I can't even think what those would be, like cannabis or something. That might be something, but again, most likely it would be something without the THC, which wouldn't cause a positive anyway. So that's the factor to remember, is that none of our things, I mean, we're talking plant DNA anyway, but none of those should register anything on a blood test.
And you have to think about too, they're bypassing the digestive system. So it's not going to show up necessarily in their urine because it's 100% absorbable. So it's not going to be peed out of them. Does that make sense? Like, it's like almost 90, it's like 99% absorbable. Like, it's not going to come out on a urine test.
Yep. The only caution to that though is I think if a heroin addict peed, it might show they're a heroin addict.
That's true.
Think of how many drops you'd have to take though to be called like, a dropper addict. Like
exactly. Yeah, you're talking quantities. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. What an awesome call tonight.
Any other questions? Anybody have anything they want clarification on?
I have one question. If somebody is taking these DNA drops and they say, do I need to take any other, say, supplement that they might take themselves at home, like vitamin C, vitamin D, is there a need? Or how would you answer them?
I say my personal thought on that is no, but is it going to hurt them? No. At some point, people are going to look at what their cost is, and maybe they need to cut some of those other supplements out. And I always say too, do people see or feel a difference by taking vitamin C? Is there something in their body that's telling them they need that? Most people do it for preventative reasons. When you look at the botanicals, like again, the DNA holds all of the minerals and vitamins, and it's 100% absorbable into their cells. When they ingest a vitamin C, they're probably absorbing maybe 20, 30%. They're actually wasting money, and they're not, and again, the health benefit is there days, weeks later, not immediate. And
Right.
so I think that's the big key, but I get it. Like I have people who still want to take their probiotics. Well, that's great, because you know what? Probiotics is a fermented process. It doesn't happen in nature. So yes, you need your probiotics, but you need a prebiotic to cover the pro, because the pre is the soil that feeds the pro, like the plant. And guess what? People take probiotics and never take a prebiotic, but our botanicals are prebiotics, especially in MLS, the apple fibers. It's a fibrous material that comes from botanicals. So, your omegas, we don't have omegas. We don't have fish. Fish doesn't grow in gardens. So, you know what I mean? You got to be smart about what things you're using and what things you're lacking. And I'm always a big believer, take the things that you feel like you need that are not encompassed in the botanicals. But do you need to take it all? That's a cost, preference.
And Tina, I think something to build off to what you and Michelle talked on before is really you need to look at what your symptoms are, because, Tina, as you know, we were in a previous company that we learned that the recommended daily allowances that we have here in the United States were based off of studies from the US government in the early 40s on 20 to 22 or 18 to 20-year-old white males to send them overseas to fight in the war. So we know genetically that I am different than Aaron. We're different than all of you guys. Our needs for vitamin D, vitamin C, phosphorus is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when it comes to that question, Kim, is if they're experiencing vitamin C deficiency symptoms, that may be something they want to consider supplementing external to what we can provide. But I had a perfect case of this about 3 years ago. I went for my annual blood work through my employer. They said I was vitamin D deficient, put me on horse pills for 6 weeks. I went back in, had my blood drawn again. Oh, my vitamin D levels came up. I've not since taken another vitamin D horse pill since. So genetically, I may not need to have as high a vitamin D as someone else, but I was compared to a 19-year-old from 1941.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
and I Googled vitamin D deficiencies and I didn't have any single one of those symptoms. I was being compared to someone I had no relationship to.
And plant DNA is smart in our bodies. It will know which deficiencies you have without you even knowing it. And it will find those deficiencies. Like, it's the craziest thing with plant DNA and human DNA. That's why people go spend hundreds of dollars to go get their DNA tested to tell them all the things mom and dad, gave them. But you don't even need a DNA test. The plant DNA will go in and work on those variants and deficiencies without you even knowing it.
I had a conversation with a woman this week on social media, and she was coming from one of those companies that did personalized DNA testing. And she just kept shooting me down saying, no, you can't possibly have a DNA product if you don't swab people. You can't possibly cater to them. And I said, she was dropping these background certifications she had, and it was all I could do to just not tell her where I worked and what I did. But I just said to her, what we have actually meets all of the deficiencies. We don't need a roadmap because these have their own GPS. They go and find the deficiencies. They fix the areas that need fixing without that swab. And she just said, well, I know about your product, good luck, and kind of left it at that. But what I wanted to touch on was the omega thing that you mentioned and the vitamin D. So I went outside today in the sun, a little bit, you can tell. I was talking to a friend. We were at a park. We were talking about the business, and that's one of those things too, Garth, that it's very, very possible that you went outside more. A lot of people become vitamin D deficient in the winter because they're not exposed to as much sun. Sun is something that helps that chain of our vitamin D. So there are really simple things, even like an omega, we can take an omega vitamin and who knows how much we actually gain from the capsule with the digestion process. But we can also go get, Atlantic non-farmed salmon and have that once or twice a week and be getting the same levels that we're getting in a supplement in a pill. So there's some things to be, we talk about soil depletion, and that is definitely a real thing, but we also can get some nutrients from our food. So I don't want people thinking that, if I'm anemic, I need to go take an iron pill. They're going to have so many of the needs met through the plant DNA that we have, but they can also eat good organic, grass-fed things like that. If they're vegan or they're vegetarian, they can eat beans that have high sources of that. So we still can get nutrients. It's not that we're getting no nutrients from our food. We just need to be smart that we're not telling people like, we can't fix your deficiency in vitamin D. It's like, go take a walk. You're going to get the negative ions from the UV rays and you're going to get the vitamin D. So just, helping people to have a good balance instead of just looking for, what we have is so unique, but then I want people to be aware that, there are still things they can get in their diet. There's still things they can get from natural sources.
Thank you.
That was great. Anyone else have any questions? Yeah, Aaron's had a couple of good comments in there, Aaron Harrison, about the Power for Women. And then this, people do waste a lot of money on things that don't work. And it's like in our Opportunity, where the Men's Health had the research, 52 out of the 100 supplements they pulled didn't have what's in them. Less than a 50-50 shot of getting what you think you're getting. So.
Well, I think I'll just leave it with this thought that Ron Williams shared in Vegas. He said, we are creating a shelf that didn't exist, a shelf of products. We have a category creating product with no competition in the marketplace. That is a dream come true for people like us. Okay. So enjoy sharing these candies. Tina and Michelle, that was exquisite. Absolutely exquisite.
Yep.
We will send you the beautiful recording of that when we get to that. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a beautiful week. Let's go launch Mexico.
And happy birthday, Kevin.
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Happy birthday.
Kevin just turned 32.
He did. Woo.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you.
31.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.